So good morning and welcome. My name is Reverend Dr. Ron Fox, and I welcome you to the Sunday service for the Center for Spiritual Living, Space Coast. If you've never been to a Center for Spiritual Living before, we believe there's one God, many paths to that God, and we're here to love, honor, and support you no matter what your divine path is. And the Center for Spiritual Living Space Coast is a safe haven for people of all beliefs and lifestyles, whoever you are and wherever you find yourself on your journey of faith. You're welcome here. And I just want to paraphrase Eddie Watkins Jr., who did a concert for us recently, and in one of his songs, he said, straight or gay, Christian, Buddhist, or Jew, our door is open for you. So this is when I usually say who our practitioner and reader is. So if you saw our announcement, it said that our practitioner was Ginny, and reader was Ginny Panic. Ginny called up Reverend Jenna the other day and said, gee, I'm really sick. Can you be the practitioner and reader? Jenna said yes. And this morning, Jenna called us up and said, I'm really sick. I can't do it. So you're stuck with me as the practitioner and reader. Our Christmas service, just to let you know again, is going to be on Saturday evening, the 24th, Christmas Eve. And we'll talk about a time maybe next week. And we are having, by popular demand, a potluck and Secret Santa on December 17th from 1 to 3:30 at the center. And if you're interested in participating in the Secret Santa, please tell Reverend Jenna by November 30th. And please get to Becky and me and let us know what meal you're going to bring so we can make sure we don't get all desserts or all entrees or whatever. Just one last thing about the 17th. Because of the contract that Unity has with their insurance company, no alcohol can be served. So if we're planning to ask everybody to bring their own beverage, but nobody please bring alcohol. And with that, I'll turn it over to my wife again. So let's just take a moment to come together and to rejoice that we're here this morning, to be here and to celebrate our spirituality. And I'm so grateful and have such great gratitude for all that I know we are about to experience. And I just say thank you, life, thank you, God, for all of that. And to know that everywhere each one of us is, the divine presence of spirit is always expressed. So we can always experience all of the love, the beauty, the kindness, the compassion, the healing, and the joy of an ever-loving presence. And so I bless each one of us that is here this morning. I bless all of our congregants that are traveling and being with family. And I bless people everywhere, whether in a temple, a mosque, a church, nature, wherever they are. Because I know that God is expressing in and through each and every one of them, bringing forth all of the good that's in the divine. And so for all of that and so much more, I just give thanks and I release this word. I know it's done. And so the reading that I'm going to do this morning, I'm going to do pieces of 2 readings from my book, Experiencing the Beacon Within. Meister Eckhart wrote, If the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, it will be enough. Being grateful is a way of life. As we move through our days, we can make the choice to face life with an attitude of gratitude. And when we do, every experience takes on new meaning. Even the tough times can be seen as learning opportunities. In the Bible, when Jesus multiplied the loaves and fishes, he began his prayer by giving thanks. He wasn't saying, thank you for the little bit of food. He was giving thanks from a consciousness of gratitude because he knew that there's always enough. Excuse me, I have something with my throat this morning. Rabbi Baruch Spinoza was an early advocate of developing a gratitude practice. He said every day for a month, you should ask yourself these three questions. Who or what inspired me today? What brought me happiness today? And what brought me comfort and deep peace today? He said if we did this, it would help us find more joy and meaning in our life and lead to inner transformation. When we focus on what is positive and affirming in our life, we attract more of that into our everyday circumstances. So how can we begin a gratitude practice? Write someone a note and thank them for an offer of appreciation for something they did for you. Begin a gratitude list. Before you go to sleep at night, write down 5 things you're grateful for that day. At the end of the week, you'll have 35 things to be grateful for. Write affirmations. I just read about someone who carries a gratitude rock with them. Every time they touch it, they silently say thank you. Whatever you do, remember every day to give thanks for the people and wonders that surround you. They're all a blessing. And so we know we're going to have a guest speaker this morning. So I want to tell you a little bit about Stephen Kindsfather. He's a resident of Golden, Colorado, and a 3rd-generation Colorado native. Steve was born into Science of Mind teachings. His parents were 2 of the 14 founders that created Mile High Church. He served as a Science of Mind practitioner for 12 years and is currently the senior minister of Vessels of Spirit, a Center for Spiritual Living focused ministry. Steve took up woodworking and carpentry early in his life and began teaching his skills to others. After teaching his trade in a juvenile correction facility, he led college and high school students through the construction of an entire house each school year. There are 20 homes around the Denver area that stand as testimonials of youth learning and working together. Now retired from hands-on teaching of home building, Steve now teaches spirituality from the heart through his ministry, photography, poetry, and community leadership. And let me tell you, he hasn't done all that much in his life. He's been kind of lazy. All he ever did was visit 50 countries, become a master scuba diver, a hot air balloon pilot. He raced motorcycles, and he did carpentry, improv, and golf. And now he's going to honor us with giving us a talk on gratitude. So it's all yours, Steve.
Thank you for that kind introduction. And most of it, I think, is true. I really appreciate that. And thank you, Becky, for being here. Good morning, beautiful ones. My name is Steve Kindsfather, and I'm presenting this Sunday message on Zoom from Golden, Colorado, my home. And though we're joining virtually, I think we can join together in the one mind. And I would like to take just 1 minute of our time of my talk today that we might set that sacred space for our time together. I'm going to light a candle, which represents gratitude for me. If there's something that you would like to bring into your space, you'll have a minute to go get that. Maybe a picture of family, grateful for our children, an altar item, or you too may wish to light a candle. I'm actually going to do a battery operated candle so I don't have to worry about a flame or something that I'm during my talk. But if you feel like you're in that sacred space already, your setting is perfect for you, then use this minute to just center into the silence. I'm going to ring the chimes and then you will hear them again in 60 seconds time. So this is your chance for whatever you need to make the sacred space wherever you are now. Thank you for honoring this space in gratitude. Welcome back to our collective sacred space. When I asked Ron about giving a talk at his church sometime, he said, yes, he would welcome me to do that. And we picked this date, or he chose it as the first Sunday after Thanksgiving. And I said, that's wonderful. That works for me. Do you have a talk that you were going to give, a theme, or is there a topic you would like me to speak to? And he said, gratitude. And I thought, Ron, it's Thanksgiving's already over. Like, why would we keep doing gratitude? And then I jumped to my ministerial heart. And as he has already mentioned, and I will mention again, you can never have too much gratitude. I always need to center into that. And so that's what I'm intending to do today, is to, though Thanksgiving is a few days past, I'm hoping you enjoyed it as I did. I had a wonderful time with family. And I know many of us are grateful for that Thanksgiving Day. And there's many that are grateful that Thanksgiving is over. Glad for it to be in the past. I'd like to start with a quote from Melody Beatty. She says, gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for our today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. On Thanksgiving, my wife and I, whenever possible, we enjoy going to the Mile High Church service where it's dedicated to Thanksgiving, being grateful, and they have a chime for sharing. The adults do sharing, but my favorite time, and I think many people's favorite time, is when the youth, the children, get a chance to go up on stage. And this year was Dr. Barry Ebert, our youth director minister, and he calls them up and asks them to speak into the microphone, stating what they are thankful for. And this year he said, come on up, kids. And they weren't going up like they usually do. They're sort of him-hawing around. And they said, I know what you need to be called. I call you this all the time. You're my giant souls with short legs. They knew he was talking to them, and they came out of the aisles. And if you kind of visualize a Santa Claus thing, him sitting up on the chair and the kids all lining up to talk to him. And I want to share with you as accurately as I can a few of my favorites of the kids sharing before the congregation this year at Thanksgiving. Barry, with his microphone, had the first darling little girl come up to him. And when he asked her, what are you thankful for? She replied, I am grateful for my mom, for my dad, and for my cat, but not my brother. And trotted across to the other side of the stage where they exit down to their meeting parents. We were all kind of in wonder, a few chuckles, and I said, I wonder what brother did this time. A few children later, a wonderful young man, slender, nicely dressed in his Thanksgiving clothes, went up and Barry asked, what are you thankful for? He said, oof. We looked, people were puzzled, and Barry said, could you tell me again what that you're thankful for? And he said, oof. And his mother loudly interpreted for him, he's grateful for the earth. So with the sigh of understanding and relief, we congregants were also thankful for the oof. And my favorite one from this year was a young man who proudly walked up the stairs, walked right up to the microphone, and when asked, what are you thankful for? Boots, he shouted out, and trotted off. His shiny new silver snow boots could not be missed as he strutted across the stage. I think we can all learn gratitude from those giant souls with short legs. So at this moment, I encourage each of us to put on our boots, bring love, gratitude, and thanksgiving into our hearts, into our thoughts, and into our daily practice. As Ron already said this morning, and we haven't talked or planned this, Meister Eckhart says, if the only prayer you ever say your entire life is thank you, it will be enough. I totally agree with that. So with Ron's blessings and my gratitude, my message today is gratitude PPF. I wanted to publish that way in the program so people might be curious about the PPF, which is gratitude for the past, in the present, and for our future. It's easy to be thankful for the things that we once wanted, once we have them. We're grateful for the blessings in our life once we have them in place. But I want to suggest we can also be thankful for the things that we did not or do not want and that we don't have. Reverend Josh Reeves, who is a mutual friend of Ron and mine, and Josh is a mentor to me, and I believe Ron was a mentor to Josh through his ministerial studies. Josh said this, you do not have to be grateful for every part of your life to give thanks for the whole of your life. So think about that as I say it again. You don't have to be grateful for every part of your life to give thanks for the whole of your life. So this morning, as we gratefully look at the whole of our life, past, present, and future, let's start with gratitude in the past or gratitude for our past. I suspect we can all recall an event that happened in our past that made a big difference in the direction of our lives or changed who we are today. Often we're angry or disappointed in the moment by those events, and then only later we realize what a true blessing it turned out to be. I know I have many of those things, some maybe yet to be realized. And I'm talking about events like the school that we didn't get into. We wanted to pursue this school and do what our parents told us we should do, and we went a different path. For some of us, it's that marriage that we didn't get into, or an airline flight that we didn't get on, and then later to find out that that plane never made it to its destination. And my heart goes out to those each year who didn't go into, for some reason that morning, they didn't choose to go into the World Trade Center on 9/11. Those are the events of things that didn't happen that we can be grateful for. And those last two that I mentioned, the airplane and those are significant events, and often there's a survivor's guilt associated with those kind of an event. Why did I make it and my friend or lover didn't? If we realize the gift of life and express our individual gifts in our lives, we can then begin to understand why we are alive on this planet at this time. And we are alive on this planet for our purpose at this time. It is said that our life is God's gift to us. What we do with our life is our gift to God. Life is God's gift to us. What we do with our life is our gift to God. Can you recall something from your past that you didn't get or something that didn't happen? I'm thinking once I mentioned those, maybe a few of them came up for you. I'd like to share one that came up for me as I was thinking about this talk, and an experience I could relate from my high school days. Is my good friend Mark. We were best friends at the time, and he owned a 1969 Corvair. Some of you may know what that car is, one of the few that had rear engine drive, and his Corvair had a stick shift on the dashboard. It was actually automatic transmission, but the shifter was on the dashboard, a lever that moved up and down. And he got pretty good at learning how to put it into neutral, rev it just enough to where it wouldn't throw the transmission, drop it into drive, and we'd get a little screech of the tires as we jutted forward. That was pretty cool for us in his old car when muscle cars were quite the rage at that time. Anyway, we were pulled up at a stoplight in the right-hand lane, waiting for the light to turn green. And shortly thereafter, a big box truck pulled up on our left-hand side. And I was waiting for the light to turn, and it did turn green. And the truck started to lunge a little bit and then stopped. And for some reason, Mark, my buddy, did not put the car into drive. He didn't drop it down from neutral. We didn't jut out. And just then, a huge sedan, I think maybe a Cadillac, went about 60 miles an hour, burning the red light across in front of us. And I asked him, what was it? And he said, I just had this feeling. I listened to an inner message. Talk about gratitude. We both drove home trembling in silence. When we got home, we got out the doors, gave each other a hug. I feel had he done his normal thing or not listened to that inner voice, we probably would not be here today. I like to say what Charles Dickens said, reflect upon your present blessings, of which every man has plenty, not on your past misfortunes, of which all men have some. You take a drink of water this morning, Ron. You might got that scratchy throat myself. Charles Dickens says, reflect upon your present blessings, of which every man has plenty, not on your past misfortunes, of which all men have some. So in addition to our gratitude for what didn't happen in the past, there are many events in our past for which we can be grateful. I'm grateful for my mother carrying me for 9 months in her womb. And I think of the sacrifices that takes for a woman to birth and carry a child, the changes in just body type and appetite and all the things that she did so that I could be born. And I am truly grateful for that. I went along with her to the delivery room, and I haven't shared this with many people, but I came out on my birthday. And I'm also grateful for my mother's love after my birth. Again, the sacrifices she made, the early morning feedings and diaper changings. So I'd like us all to join together with a deep gratitude for our mothers, for all mothers, and for all women. I feel the divine feminine are such an important need. That divine feminine energy is so needed right now in the world and in our lives. And I think it's more than diaper changing, it's life changing. So thank you, ladies. Thank you for all the divine women and mothers, and for our collective thanks from that. I love this quote from Mark Twain. The two most important days of your life are the day that you were born and the day you figure out why. Getting a little choked up thinking about my mom and being born. So I'll say it again. The two most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you figure out why. And I think when we do discover the why of our lives, we can plant seeds of our choosing and water those seeds into manifestation. So that's planting now, planting the seeds now for the principle of gratitude in the future. Gratitude in the future to me means exactly that. The best way to predict the future in my mind is to create it. It's not only the planting of those seeds for what we wish to grow, it involves caring for our garden with an attitude of gratitude. I believe Ron mentioned that already this morning. I think of it this way. I call it what we appreciate appreciates. We've seen someone, or we know someone, or perhaps you are that someone who demonstrates the principle of what we appreciate appreciates. I think of a lady that wanted to make a quilt for her firstborn child, and she was in the mommies group learning about babies and helping each other. And she wanted to collect some squares of fabric and chose flannel. Her kids had some pajamas with a hole in one side, and she had a flannel robe that had a tear, and she could cut around that to make a quilt. And needing a few more scraps or pieces of flannel, she asked her mommy friends to kick in, and they did. They brought her pieces of flannel from their own nightgowns or their own children's pajamas. And after seeing the gorgeous quilt that she made for her first child, they all wanted one. And they loved it. They noticed their contribution, their piece of flannel that they brought, or pieces that were in that quilt. She showed gratitude each time she got fabric. And now her collection is bags and bags, piles of fabric of all different types. And in order to make a quilt now, she just needs some thread and some time. People have given her that fabric. I think of Miss Martina. She lived across the street from me in Northwest Denver. That's where I grew up. And my first home was in a smaller older neighborhood of the hood where the houses were smaller. And she invited me in one day to show me the gratitude for her travels. And what she had, she pointed it out, but you could not help but see it, was her salt and pepper shaker collection. All around this teeny house on different shelves, ledges, niches, she had salt and pepper shakers. She appreciated them. She wanted to show me where they're from when it clearly said Grand Canyon or Estes Park. And I appreciated her travels, but she appreciated those salt and pepper shakers. And now whenever her family or friends travel, guess what they bring back to Miss Martinez? What we appreciate appreciates. Another gratitude practice I would share is saying a blessing before each meal. Speaking of salt and pepper, saying grace. And my wife and I do that. I give a short blessing before every meal, every day. Sometimes not if we're out on a fast food place or something, but I think that's a way of, whenever we receive something, we should give thanks. To quote Eckhart Tolle, acknowledging the good that you already have in your life is the foundation for all abundance. Acknowledging the good that you already have in your life is the foundation for all abundance. So we've talked about gratitude in the past and in the future, and now I want to speak to gratitude in the present. In Science of Mind and many other teachings, we learn that we live in the present moment. Eckhart Tolle in his book, The Power of Now, several things that let us know about that. And we must live in the now because the past is already gone. The future is not yet here. Being in the now is a gift. That's why it's called the present. So gratitude practice that we can do in the present is each time that we pass through a doorway, moving from one space to another, we can make a conscious effort to move to a presence of gratitude. I think Mark and I did that when we exited the doors of that Corvair. We moved from that one space to another in gratitude. I wrote and lead a meditation. It's on Insight Timer called Gateways and Portals. Maybe it's Portals and Gateways. It's one of those two, but it's a meditation that I recorded, and it speaks to the ancient Inca practice of passing through arches and doorways. They press their hands out to the side each time, like walking through Machu Picchu. We did this practice. And I invite you to listen to the meditation. It explains it much more and in a more controlled voice than I'm using right now. But if you listen to it, it will walk you through the doorway practice. And I suggest that you could use this the next time you have to go into your boss's office, not knowing what they have to say. Are they giving you a raise or telling you something else? What if you enter that office with that reminder of gratitude as you pass that doorway, or going into your child's bedroom to have a talk with them, whatever it may be about? Reminder to just move into gratitude as you pass through a doorway. And as we move through different stages of our life, we tend to reevaluate what is important to us. There was a point in my life when I was more concerned about how my hair looked and things of dating and how I dressed. I think it was to impress women or to get a date. But now that I'm so happily married, I don't have to worry about those things anymore. I'm grateful for my wife, and I'm grateful to be out of the dating scene, to be honest. So things that were once important no longer are. This reminds me of a story of an older man. He lived alone, spent most of his time out in his little boat on it was a large pond or a small lake, but it was a piece of water where you could almost see the shore from wherever you were. And he enjoyed just calmly fishing or pretending to fish, but it was his quiet time out in his boat. And one afternoon, he thought he heard a and listened, and so he paddled towards where he thought he was hearing the sound, and sure enough, he saw a lily pad, paddled a little closer, and on top of the lily pad was a frog saying, "Pick me up." He leaned over and the frog said, "Pick me up." So he did. He picked up the frog and held it in his hands. And the frog says, "If you kiss me, I turn into a beautiful princess." So he grabbed the frog and put it into his pocket. The frog said, "You didn't hear me. If you kiss me, I turn into a beautiful princess." And the old man replied, "I did hear you, but at my age, I would rather have a talking frog." So I'm suggesting we can, instead of a frog in our pocket, we can put, as Ron said earlier, use the gratitude rock. I had a gratitude rock that was given to me at a seminar. A man spoke about gratitude, and he brought 2,000 small little black polished river pebbles, little stones that he put out on tables. And as we left, he allowed us or encouraged us to take one as a gratitude rock. And for many years, I carried it. Mine was sort of triangle shaped, about a third the size of a golf ball, and it fit perfectly in the corner of my blue jeans pocket or my pants pocket. Every morning when I put things into my pocket, keys, wallet, comb, my gratitude rock went in and I thought of gratitude. At the end of the day, I took it out and again thought of gratitude. And several times throughout the day, if I thought of it, I could touch it through my jeans or just know that stone meant gratitude. One morning I put it in and I didn't find it at the end of the day. I pulled something out of my pocket, laid down somewhere, something. I didn't no longer had it. And that day I was in Las Vegas. So I lost my gratitude rock in Las Vegas, but a practice you could use towards gratitude. Another one that Ron also mentioned this morning is that of a gratitude journal. Many of us do that. Many of us have tried it. I did. I put it next to my bed, as they tell you to write down those 5 things that you're grateful for before going to bed, going to sleep. And I did it for several weeks, but all too often I would pick it up and write, I'm grateful for my getting to work safely. Grateful my friend took me to lunch today. I am grateful for my wife. I am grateful for this wonderful bed to lay down and just go, I'm grateful. Start snoring and fall asleep halfway through my gratitude. And I'd wake up in the morning grateful my gratitude journal was wedged between the mattress and the bed frame. Another gratitude practice we can use, and I love this one. Josh shared this, his message before Thanksgiving, Reverend Josh Reeves, about a gratitude box. And it's his wife practice of bringing the gratitude box out at Thanksgiving dinner. And yes, even though Thanksgiving is gone, maybe you can do this on your own on your birthday or another significant family gathering, family reunion, whenever. Bring out the gratitude box. It has pens and pieces of paper, and each person of the family writes down what they will be grateful for next year. So claiming that gratitude, write it down, fold it over, they write their name on it. So also within the box are the notes from the previous year with their name on it, and they each opens it up and declares if they've obtained that gratitude, and many do. So what seed might you plant then to manifest each year? And the last gratitude practice I'd like to leave us with is, I'd heard it before, but it was just rekindled by Steve Hartman. You've maybe seen him on CBS News, and his segment that he does with his 2 children is called Kindness 101. And his daughter Merle explained that if you take 10 pennies and put them in your left pocket, each time during the day, when you cause someone to have gratitude, or there's an event that causes you to have gratitude, take a penny and place it into the other pocket. At the end of the day, if you truly feel gratitude 10 times, what you gain will be worth far more than 10 cents. So in closing, with gratitude PPF, past, present, and future, being grateful for what happened and what didn't happen, knowing that what we appreciates, and I hope I've shared some gratitude practices that you will employ. So in my closing statement here, what is it that you can do with your life so that others will be grateful for you being a part of their life? Thank you for listening. Namaste.
Which is cslspacecoast.org, and hit the donate button. It'll drop down and you'll see a number of different ways that you could donate to us, and we would certainly appreciate that. With that, Steve is going to do our closing prayer, and then we'll do our closing affirmation.
So we just step into this sacred space that we've created, that container, that vessel of spirit that is filled with gratitude. How could you not be grateful for all that music, the blessings in our life, the good that is ever abundant? We to that place of just knowing in our heart that the loaves and the fishes, we don't look at that which we don't have. We are grateful for that which we do have. Abundance always flowing our way. are just being called right now. Dr. Fred explained it one time, Fred Vogt, a minister many years back, of standing in a river and saying, oh, my water just went by. I missed my water. That was mine that has already passed. We're standing in that flow of abundance, and all we need to do is recognize it and drink from that living water, which is ours to partake of, forever available, always abundant, always present. And I know that this is the day the Lord hath made. Let us go forth and be glad in it. And so it is.
So it is. So usually we do a closing affirmation and everybody repeats it after me. However, since you're all muted, that's going to be a little tough. So I'll just repeat our closing affirmation, and I'll invite everybody to stay on and we can spend some time having a discussion. So here we go. This is how we usually close. Something wonderful is happening to me right now. It is this thing called life. Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in my affairs. I receive it. I share it. I am it. And I accept it just the way that it is and just the way that it is not. Thank you, life. And so it is.
And so it is.